Hi there! It is a beautiful day to be thinking about your pelvic floor, and I thought I would help you understand if you should be doing Kegels or not. So let's break it down quite simply. The pelvic floor is not a magical unicorn muscle. It's like any other muscle in the body when we apply the same principles to it. I'll be giving you some examples relating to other muscle groups, so hopefully that makes sense. So thinking about if we want to be doing Kegels or not, let's understand what is a Kegel. So a Kegel is this closing off and pulling up contraction of your pelvic floor. Essentially, it's a shortening contraction where your muscle becomes shorter in length, and it's used mostly for the purposes of strengthening that muscle. Okay, so when will we use a Kegel? We will use a Kegel if our pelvic floor is overextended, it's not working efficiently, it's not very strong. Now, when could this be? It could be if you're pregnant, if you're carrying the weight of a baby, placenta, all that fluid, your pelvic floor is stretching and bearing a lot of load. 100% it will benefit from strengthening through Kegels. The small exception being that if you do fall in the category where Kegels are not great for you, like if you have pelvic pain, then first resolve the pain and then move on to Kegels. Okay, and how do we know if that's a little nuanced about figuring out, okay, do I need to first restore length before strengthening? That's something a pelvic floor therapist can help you with. Okay, and now let's think about when we should not be doing Kegels. So since a Kegel is a shortening or a tightening contraction, if your muscle is already short and tight, we don't want to tighten it more. So for instance, if you are having a leg cramp, you are having a horrible leg cramp, your foot is pointed down, would you be wanting to do more ankle exercises to strengthen that calf muscle further at that point? Probably not, right? You'd want to do some rubbing, restore length, help that muscle relax, and eventually, if it's appropriate, then strengthen that muscle. The same principles apply to the pelvic floor. For instance, if I think of my bicep as a pelvic floor muscle, it really is not. But just to give you an idea, if my pelvic floor is short and tight and stuck in this position, I don't want to do more tightening, more pulling, and more strengthening contractions. I want to restore length. I want to increase flexibility. And then if I need to, then I can go ahead and do my strengthening. Now, how to know if your pelvic floor is stuck in this position? Classic signs would be if you're having pelvic pain. This could be pain with sex, it could be pain on touching, it could be pain with inserting a tampon. Another classic sign very often is incomplete bladder emptying. So if you're going to the bathroom, you're trying to pee, what happens is if your pelvic floor is too tight, it pinches off your urethra and doesn't let your bladder empty completely. So incomplete bladder emptying is another sign of a tight pelvic floor. And if you suffer from a chronic pelvic pain condition like endometriosis, if you have PCOS, any other pelvic inflammatory condition, you probably have a tight pelvic floor. And also some really fit women, triathletes, people who spin a lot, like spinning, or I've seen a lot of ballet dancers with super tight pelvic floors. So people who basically are super tight, super toned, and do a lot of physical activity involving the hips where they have very good muscle strength, they often have tight pelvic floors because those muscles are such closely related to each other. So that's when you have a tight pelvic floor and you shouldn't be doing Kegels. So I hope this was helpful. Just to break it down again, if you are already tight, that is if you're in pain, if you have incomplete bladder emptying, or if you are sensitive to touch on the outside or on the inside of your vagina, you probably have a tight pelvic floor, and please do not do Kegels. You'll make your pelvic floor pain and symptoms so much worse. On the other hand, if you do not fit into any of those previously mentioned conditions, but you are noticing some pelvic floor symptoms, then yes, Kegels would probably help, but there is a right way to do them. Just to get, and no, the magazines out there are not teaching you the correct technique, believe me. If you want help with your pelvic floor, reach out to me. If you are pregnant and want to help restore or maintain health and function in your pelvic floor, reach out, we can work together. And a big part of what I do is helping moms get confident during pregnancy about the upcoming birth, about ways to relax their pelvic floor so they have less tearing, so labor is smooth and hopefully shorter. And of course, it helps with postpartum healing as well when we start the work during pregnancy. And again, if you have any pelvic floor issues, don't just rely on Kegels. Seek out an expert, see a therapist who can help you get back to normal, so you don't have to live with pads, you don't have to live with pain, and you don't have to live with just Kegels. So I hope this was helpful. If you have anything else you want to know about the pelvic floor, reach out to me. This is Sujata Martin from Concierge Pelvic Floor in Buffalo, New York. I come to your home, so we work in the comfort of your home, and you don't have to be spread-eagled in a weird, strange office when someone pokes around down there. So I hope to see you soon. Stay healthy and do Kegels only if they'll help you. Bye.